Hey everybody, it's Angela Molson352, and my video didn't take when I first started this, so I'll just talk you through the first portion of this layout. It's a 12 by 12 layout, and I used two rubber stamps, kind of a small section of border stamp and a flourish stamp. I painted them with gold Martha Stewart paint and stamped them on there. And then I'm just using a couple different sprays, a purple, a gold, and a green, just to give a real light effect. I didn't want tons of color on this, just some pops of color. So I just sprayed those lightly. And the Martha Stewart paint worked really good on a rubber stamp. I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but it doesn't show as much definition because the paint gets into the crevices, unlike ink that sits on the surface of the stamp and everything, but I really like the effect. And so then I wanted a few drips and spots of a little bit more color. So I'm just kind of putting some of them on there. And I think I'm going to do that with all three of the colors. I just do a little bit of splattering and then a few little drips and stuff on there. And the green and the purple are the, I think they're the Recollections. I don't have it right in front of me. The Recollections pastel, or maybe they're the Heidi swap. No, I think they're those Recollections pastels that were on sale here recently. So I got the purple, and it's more of a lavender than a purple, but it's close enough. And so you can see that I'm putting the splatters, and I kind of paint a little bit with the tube of the ink applicator just to get a little more of that color in the border strip. And then the picture I'm going to be scrapbooking is one I took at Blanchard's Mardi Gras World, and it is the big jester that is on the top of their entryway. And we had, my sister-in-law and I had stopped there to look in at some of the floats they were doing for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And this jester, I was back quite a ways, and I still couldn't get back far enough to fit it all in my viewfinder. It's that big. It was huge up there on the top of the roof over the door. So I just thought it was really cool. And we saw like their graveyard where they take all the portions of floats and take them apart, and they have them sitting outside, and then the floats they're working on they have inside. So I just want to put a few layers behind this photo, and so I have this green that is a little more pastel, which matches the spray mist, and I'm also going to use a little bit of gold vellum that I got in my Cocoa Daisy kit. And I put it there first with just a little bit gold showing, and then I thought, no, I want a little more of that layer, and then just a very small layer of this purple. And so I go ahead and get that done. And so this is the only photo that's going to be on this layout. There's a corresponding page, pocket page in my album that will be next to it with some of the other photos. And then I got this doily in my Cocoa Daisy kit too, this beautiful gold doily. So I just cut it in half, and I'm putting the pieces behind the photo, just kind of poking out. And I'm looking for a few more things to layer with. And I thought I was going to use this die cut that I had made for the album. That one doesn't wind up making it, but I have another one that I cut in half that I wind up putting on this layout, just for that extra little pop of color. Yeah, this one here. I kind of fuss with them, trying to figure out where to put them, and I go back and forth a couple times, but they do wind up being on the layout eventually. So I'm like thinking I might do a secondary cluster, but then I know I'm going to have a lot of wording. So I like the doily, so I'm going to go ahead and place that on there. And figure out kind of where it's going to be positioned. And then I go ahead and commit to that, and I just put a little bit of adhesive because I knew I might want to tuck some more things in there. Again, I'm fussing with this brighter colored piece, and I'm still not sure, so I just take them off and set them to the side and decide to go on to doing my wording. And I have the gold thickers that I've been using in this album, and also some small purple glitter alpha. But I'm running low on both of them. So I'm able to actually squeeze the title out of these two kits with a little bit of change up. I have no R's left on the gold thickers. So, but an M is really just two R's stuck together. So I have an extra M, luckily, and I just cut off the extra R's, and then see, I have an I left over. And so I'm able to get Mardi Gras out of that. And then the little purple stickers, because I want it to be Blaine Kearns, and then Mardi Gras, and then World. And so I'm going through, and at first I think I'm going to have enough with changes. Like, I wind up using an I off of the uppercase and use it as an L. And then I cut a D to make it into an A, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I can do this. And I keep going. And then I wind up realizing, after I get this stubborn N off of there, it gave me some trouble. So I have no fingernails left because I've been doing a lot of gardening. That I have no E's, no lowercase E's. So I'm thinking about that as I go on. And then it's like Kern has an E in it too. And finally I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just go all uppercase. There's no rule that says I have to do upper and lowercase verbiage or wordage. So I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm just going to do all uppercase and call it good, because I had enough uppercase letters. So once I made that change in my mind there, I started laying down my title. And it's a neat place. There's all these big warehouses, and we didn't go on an actual tour or anything, but we got to see they were working on a float that had a big green witch on the front for the St. Patrick's Day parade, and they had some other floats and stuff they were working on. And then there was just a graveyard of all these big pieces of floats outside, and they have a big alligator in their parking lot, a portion of an alligator from a float that's out there, and they're just huge when you get up close to them. So this picture doesn't quite do the Joker or the Jester justice, because he was big, so it really makes an impact. And so I get the rest of the Mardi Gras placed on there, and I will go back and put a few more sprinkles at the very end, just because I wind up covering up quite a few of the little sprinkles and stuff that are over there. So I just have the word world left to place. And so I kind of like it just floating out there. I wanted it to be a pretty light layout, just because of the pastel green and purple that I had to work with. And so then I also have this piece of junk jewelry that has been floating around in my junk jewelry forever. And it's this thing, these kind of drama faces. And it was a dark gold color. And you'll see on the back that, that dark color was the original color. And I just took my embossing supplies and my embossing powder and just changed it to be the gold to match in with everything else. And then I'm putting a pop dot on each cheek and each forehead. And I'd cut some prongs off the back of that. I don't know what that was originally, if it was like from a barrette or a brooch or what. It just had a few little metal prongs, and I took my wire cutters and just snipped them off. And it's relatively flat, so it's going to work great. And I thought this is the perfect layout to use something like this, because I don't know where else I would ever use that. And so finally it's out of my stash and on a page where it makes sense. So after that, I get out these wonderful enamel dots that I got from Marissa. Thank you, Marissa. And I'm sprinkling some of those, and you'll see I'm carefully picking out which ones. And, it didn't really matter that I went to all this work, because you'll see here in a minute that, I spilled them all, and then I can't get them back in the package. And that's what I get for scrapbooking so late at night when I'm tired. So anyhow, I do my 52 pickup, or however many was in there, and get them back in the package. And so now I'm just kind of fussing with where I'm going to put some of these dots. And I want them to just kind of look like, confetti and party and sprinkles and fun, just kind of all over the page. So I go ahead and do that. And then I'm just going to glue them down with a little bit of glossy accents. And so I get that out. And I just use my X-Acto knife to kind of place them. I guess I gave up on that and just used my fingers. Like I said, I don't have any fingernails, so it's kind of making things difficult for me. And I just place those around. These things are really great because she used some multicolored pony beads and melted them, and it really gave almost a harlequin look to some of them. And then there are some solids as well, so it's a good mix of colors on there. So I get those all down, and then I know I want to do some more layering around the photo and add some more interest. You could stop right here and it looks really nice, but I wanted to just do a little more. And so I finally decide to put these back in just for that little extra pop of color. And then I go directly to my Maggie Holmes stuff, because I know she has some gold elements in her embellishments. And I think I have the rub-on pack, the new rub-on pack I think I got from Blue Moon Scrapbooking. And then I have her vellum pieces. And so my camera will cut out here in a little bit after it fills up with its memory, but I'll explain to you anything that you don't see being done here. But essentially, I'm just going to cut out some of these rub-ons and add them, and then stick a few vellum pieces in here. So I'm going to use the word today and awesome and some of those chevrons and amazing, and I think an arrow. And I decide to kind of cluster them all up and down that right hand column, except for the chevrons, which I'm going to put over by the title to kind of point your eye back to the photo. So here I just start rubbing on that arrow. And I like it because I'm adding stuff, but because the color tones are the same, it's not really making it look busy. It's just giving more interest when you look at it closer. So they're not in your face, but they're there. And so I'm just rubbing this on, and I think I had a little problem with the D and today sticking. I think because maybe my mist below it was still a little bit moist or something like that. But I eventually get it pretty well and, good enough. Just trying to get it to stick down, and it just wasn't having it. So there my camera cut out. But you can see I put a vellum heart at the very top and a vellum arrow on the right. I finished my rub-ons, and I put some vellum hearts and gold hearts just on the bottom corner of my photo, just to have something overlapping the photo. And I put a little vellum heart at the very bottom there. And I went back and did a few more little sprinkles, and that was it. Oh, and I put the film strip piece. I cut it in half and stuck one on each side of the photo under the layers. And then I just took some purple cardstock and I mounted the whole layout on that, because the mists do make the paper, actually it didn't make it warp or dimple too much on this, but it does, warp the paper a little bit. And so I just flattened it out by putting it onto that purple cardstock. And there's the close-ups. I keep forgetting with this camera I actually have the ability to do a close-up. So go through that and show you how it turned out. And that is my layout, and I'm just going to have a couple 12 by 12 layouts in this pocketed page protector album of my trip. And so if you guys have any questions or anything, please feel free to leave them below. And there is my layout. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later.